Thanks so much, Yotam, for that again. Thanks so much. So now, the last part is, I want to know, this is particularly to a man, either in university or wherever else, but because you are in university, so there's going to be that perspective as well. So how does opening up help you as a man mentally, and does that add any value to your concentration in university? Because your time you mentioned something like sort of like finding your rescue into the same thing you're doing in university. You get like coding and something like that. For some is sports, but then what is the value added to your concentration in university when you open up and let the issues out? And I'm sorry, I think I'm gonna have to rephrase this one because now it doesn't make sense because we've already spoken about the difficulties of opening up as a man. You get right. So then to ask to say how does it add value when you open up is not making sense. So then the question should be, how easy is it for you to concentrate instead when you have the same challenges going on in your mind, right? So maybe let's go for that. So
It's
yeah, sure.
okay. But I think though we can also answer the first question though,
Yeah, sure.
because once you open up, you have, it's like a burden has been lifted off you.
Yeah.
You know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just have that sense of, okay, now I've told someone, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
There's hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then what was the second question again? The new question.
So the next one is, with the same burdens on you, how do you manage to concentrate?
Oh, okay. So it's really hard to concentrate when you've got burdens. This is from my personal experience. I've seen someone who was having challenges in like her marriage,
Yeah.
and it really affected her like at work.
Yeah.
So you can see that it has a negative impact on your work and your relationships and just everything. Yes.
Awesome. Anyone else?
To step in on this,
Yeah.
in the perspective of a student, having all these challenges usually make it difficult for us to be productive. I personally witnessed something last semester when a colleague of mine, who is by nature, we all know him to be a very, like an above average student. He's hardworking. He does his work on time. He's extremely smart.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he became the opposite of that. He started showing up late for class, so late, like really late for class. Then, like, being late is something normal,
Yeah.
but not for him. You understand, right? Then he started missing due dates of projects, assignments. He became a totally different human being, and like we could tell there's something wrong, right? But whenever we try to nudge, like, oh hey, what's up, we always found hostility, hostility from our particular friend. And we could tell he's going through something. And sometimes you're put in that space where you try to talk to other people who are closer to him, if maybe they can find out what's going on and what we can do to help him get back to who we know he really is. But it was so difficult for him to open up, and he wasn't at the same level as he could have been. And that happens for a lot of students actually in campus. I know, and I speak from experience, especially as a student in the ICT fraternity. We are put under, and not just the ICT department, the mathematics department as well. Like the engineering, the math, the statistics, the computer science, the IT. There's a lot of nerd demand. You understand? In my own, that's just a word I made up. But what I'm saying is, they demand some level of genius astute. like you need to be mathematically astute. These are simple things. You need to be excellent at your work. Then a little bit of anxiety from somewhere else, maybe even just your girlfriend dumps you. Girls don't know, but my heartbreaks really hurt. Or maybe she disrespects you in a certain way, and you don't know how to approach her, because already we have find it very difficult to open up. Then that propagates even in our academic life. Just a problem that arises anywhere else that stimulates our emotions in a negative way always finds its way of creeping in our academic life. We will either be frustrated, we won't enjoy what we're studying, because initially we didn't sign up for these programs to hate them. We are interested in our programs. We love them. We've got passion for them. Yes, we'll be introduced to courses that we never thought existed, but at the core of our being, we're curious beings. We try to learn. We are so curious. We are adventurers, and we've just taken our adventure in academia to just get an in-depth of knowledge. But it just goes away. It just blows away. It doesn't make sense anymore. Going to class doesn't make sense anymore. Doing your labs doesn't make sense anymore. Being in a space where nothing makes sense, bro. Nothing makes sense. Watching a movie doesn't make sense. Netflix doesn't make sense. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend they don't make sense. It's like you just want to lock yourself in a dark room and be silent. It's a type of life. It's just a type of phase that's even hard to put in words.
So now I think I've heard something that you've just said. Isolation. At what point does isolation get to do you good?
Well, 90% of like it's a sad truth, but like 90% of coping mechanisms that I personally, and I know like a few people from my village. By my village, I mean the people that I hang around with usually go for isolation. Like it's weird, and it's challenging for our better halves when we don't want them, when we're going through things. Like we love you, but we don't want you. That's not the honest truth. We love you right now. We don't want you. I don't want you to see a version of me. You understand? Like this is a version that I deal with alone in the dark. This is a version that I know. There's a smoking mirror, and this guy is in front of me, and I'm just telling him, "You need to get back. You need to be." And I deal with this alone, and it works for me when I do it alone. And you want to be with me, yes, but you need to understand that right now, being alone is the best thing that can happen for us. The best thing that's happening for me at the moment. It works 90% of the time. I'll be honest, and I've seen this work for my village. My village can hear me right now. It works perfectly, and we understand each other. And like, okay, this guy is going through this. Let's just give him space, bro. Go do your thing. He'll take a day, 2, 3, maybe a week or two. Then he's going to pop up, all jovial and all ready to crack codes and everything.
Amazing, super amazing. Anyone else to add to that before I move on to just one more question that I just drew from Yotam's contribution? So if there's anyone else to add to that, we could do it now.
Yeah, I can. I like how Yotam has brought like the for me, the first thing I think of when I'm going through stuff is isolating. There are times when it gets so bad where you even want to delete it. You've met people who would say, I'm deleting my socials. You know what I mean? Like I don't have many socials. I think I only have an Instagram. But there are times even when I have my Instagram and my WhatsApp, and I just don't want to be there. I don't want to see other people's lives. I don't want people to see my life. I don't want to talk to people. And the significant other part, I just love how Yotam really said it, because, in as much as your significant other would want to, be involved in your crisis, your mental health crisis. Your significant other should also understand that it's not nice, the one who's experiencing it, it's not nice to watch someone else watch you fall apart. You know what I mean? It's just reality. It's not nice. You know what I mean? These are my demons. As much as I would want you to, as much as I'd want to share them with you, I do not, he said it, I do not want you to see this side of me. It's just saddening to see people to see you as you're this energetic young man full of prospects, And then now, you know, maybe your girlfriend, your fiance is watching you as, you know, in as much as you want her to be part of it.
I don't want to forget this question. Let me just ask it before it goes.
Sure.
Which one is the best way to approach a mental illness? The aggressive way or the soft way? You know, this is what I mean. For example, if somebody, for example, if say you have a friend, and this is one of the questions here. If say you have a friend, you know, like Yotam said, there's a friend who's like super concentrating, very open person and something like that. And then let's say 8 months down the line, this person just turns around and just becomes this, you know, like, I don't know, you could tell that this person is mentally burdened as much, right? Now, what's your approach to that person? Could be to you yourself or to the other person. Which one is better? Just telling them to say, you know what, just be a man and forget about everything, or saying, you know what, I'm sorry about what's going on. Which one is better? Which one really helps work out of the problem?
I think the latter.
Okay.
The one where I would say the soft approach. I would say the soft approch.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously if you tell someone, be a man, you know, this is temporary, it'll get better, you know, this is a passing thing. Even if you tell someone that, you're not actually solving the problem. You know, sometimes what people need on a bad day is someone to listen to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes people need you to crack their code. You know what I mean? To say, okay, do these people see me for me? You know what I mean? Beyond me being the genius, the this. Sometimes I suffer from burnout. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to do anything. I don't want to finish my assignments because it all just feels futile. You know? So I would say you would approach them in a way that you'd want to listen, you know, the soft way. Okay, generally the soft way. Yeah.
I agree with Gigawatt in the comment section.
Yeah.
Gigawatt in the comment section. I think the answer to your question is very subjective. It depends on the context. We were actually having this conversation with the guys not so long ago about how mental health has become a fashion trend, right? And it's
what do you mean a fashion trend?
A fashion. Oh yeah, people just like, oh no. For example, given someone just shows up, let's say, for example, given at your place, Mr. Munch, right?
Yeah.
I was recently watching a video. Let me give another example. I was recently watching a video of this gentleman who parked his car in the car park. Then randomly in the middle of the night, this young man came to the car and started vandalizing the car. The man took his phone out, captured everything on video, called the cops, and when the cops came through, and he asked, okay, why did this person do this to my car? Does he have a personal vendetta with me? Then the cops just told him, no, he was just having a bad day, right? He was just having a mental breakdown. And the same thing happens. Look, you would be so surprised at the ridiculous, but we all have things to bear with, man. We all have things to deal with. You don't, so it's like you've got COVID and you're going around coughing at people's faces. What? No. Wear your mask. Go and get your shot, you know, deal with it in an amicable way. So I definitely think it's contextual. To other people, they need a tough hand. They need to be slapped because everyone has been soft on them. No wonder they're out there coughing on people. And other people need the soft touch because all they've seen is a heavy hand. All they've seen is all they've experienced in their life is a brutal life, and they've never received a tender and understanding person who can really understand and just say, okay, you know what, you've messed up today. You're not an evil person. You're a very good person. You have just you don't have a mentality yet of seeing the good in you. I'll bear with you now. I'll bear with you tomorrow. I'll bear with you 70 times 7. Fact of the matter, I think it's very contextual. There are some people who need to be slapped back to their senses and say, if you're going through things, there's a better way of doing it than you exploding and you know, like making that an infectious thing. Suicide is another example. You know, not only does a person just leave his family and his beloved heartbroken, but it's an infectious thing. Now there are other people who are thinking, you know what, I'm gonna kill myself too, you know. So it's really excruciating. There's no straight answer. I wish there was. If there was, please hit me up. I'll take that pill any day, anytime. But at the moment, it's contextual from my own perspective.
Okay, I think I get that. I want to rush back to to Rameez's response on wanting to be super absent on all social platforms and just the public space. That really happened to me a lot. Like there's a time when because I'm a photographer, by the way, for those that don't know. So a time came when things just stopped making sense. Like I'd feel shy being in the public, taking pictures, like that began to affect my business. Like I wouldn't want to show myself to a certain audience taking pictures. At least if it's a corporate standard, I would want that, no problem. But then that seemed very, very little and personal. Like I thought that was just me not liking the public. But then it extends too far to an extent where you feel like anybody seeing you is seeing your problem. So what you want to do is instead of showing your ugly face to them, you want to just not show it at all. So I ended up cleaning up my internet. Like I deleted my Facebook page. Now you'd imagine how long it takes to just have your account go. It takes 30 days. That's like a month. I waited for that until my account was gone. I went to my Instagram, deleted. I went inclusive of my iCloud account, I deleted. But that may sound like, like just being that kind of guy, but it really comes from the inside. And that's a very huge problem. Because once you start, like resonating with yourself on certain issues, the only response you get is that which is okay for you personally. There are so many people that would convince you otherwise. Don't do that. It's just a phase and stuff like that. But if it's coming from yourself, this is why depression sends so many people to attempting to commit suicide and all that stuff. Because at that particular point, when you're having this mental illness or breakdown, the only thing that takes place in your system is that particular, I don't know if I should call it an illness or a distortion or a distraction or whatever that is, you can call it. That's the only thing that takes place in there. It's like a virus, for example, in a computer. Anything, it doesn't care whatever the documents you have on your computer, softwares, anything, it takes them all out and the computer shuts down. I think this is how I see the mental illnesses and these other problems. So the emphasis on the question of how do you sort of like survive the distortion if you can't open up to other people? I think this is a very necessary question and discussion to talk about. So it does take place. And I think most of you understand it so well, looking at, like paying attention to the responses that I've gotten. So then the last thing I want to talk about is just in general, the value of opening up, whether being in university, career, church, relationship, friendship, just the general part about it. Because there's so many people living out there with so many issues and they don't know how to open up. And they could be in your audience in school. Some of them are there, but they're not in school really. Maybe they're running away from home just so they can be there, but it's all problems. So in general terms, what's the value of opening up to other people to get the help needed?
Yeah, I think I can add on just a little something on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like opening up is important to certain extents and obviously to certain people. Like, okay, if you're getting into a relationship, say for example, you're getting into a relationship, you have to let your partner know early on in the relationship that I have this side of me that I deal with. So that they can know, they know what they're getting into. They'll know that, okay, you're probably gonna have some bad days. There are times when you seem distant. It's not who you really are. So in that way, I would say opening up is also valuable, even to your friends. In the beginning of every relationship, be it romantic, be it just a friendship, opening up is important. But sometimes it's, if you open up to the wrong people, the thing about a lot of people is that, when you've got mental health problems, you have to take responsibility of yourself at the end of the day, your actions, your decisions, everything, you know what I mean? And like Yotam said, you'd slap someone who, that is true. Some people now use it as an escape. So you have to take responsibility of that. And you have to say, okay, wait. And when you open up to certain people, especially if you're a person who wants to be, or who tends to be validated by opinions of others, some people commit suicide.
Yeah.
It's because they listen to the wrong people. Yeah. They feel isolated by the wrong people. But you find that this person could have listened to the right person, and maybe that person wouldn't have gone down that path. Because I can talk about like the girl, the one-eyed girl, the mod, was she a makeup artist, Felistas. A lot of people were bashing her in the comments. She felt attacked by those things. There are a lot of people who feel attacked by those things. And of course, we grieve that, they're no longer with us, or there are people who are currently going through those things. But, when you let yourself be validated by other people, you open up to the wrong people. If you're a person who is validated by opinions of other people, it will affect you. So if you're going to open up, it's all about opening up to the right people, and whatever relationships you have, tell people in the beginning that you go through these things. Yeah.
And just to add to that, there's this, most people know peer pressure to be peer pressure, like somebody comes to you and forces you to do certain stuff in the negative way, is it? Now, there's this indirect peer influence, like it's not about you forcing me to take the alcohol or the drugs in general. It now turns around and comes to me and how I feel intimidated or judged or weighing myself based on what I see other people have. And I just want to know if this takes place in university, which I know it does to some extent, even though I don't want to be too smart to say it does for sure. But there's this issue of the indirect peer influence where just looking at your shoe makes me feel like I'm useless. You get right? Now, that being in university, do you think that really, adds up so much to sending people into isolation for thinking, walking out to the public, I'm not enough, I'm not fitting in and something like that? Does that ever happen?
100%.
Yes, it does, definitely. And you are smart. You are definitely smart.
Absolutely.
But it's a two-way thing, though.
Yeah.
Because there are people's expectations and your own expectations.
Yeah.
For me personally, what hurts me personally more is when I can't meet my own expectations. For me, I don't really care about the expectations of others. I'm more of a rebel type of character. I'm a renegade type of character. So for me, I get depressed by me not meeting my own. Then there are people who want to be validated by others. They feel like they don't meet expectations of maybe their friends, their peers, the cool kids. Or maybe they make bad comments to them. They'd want to isolate. So it's kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Just to add up on Mr. Rameez.
Yeah, sure.
I'm reminded of a conversation we had. I would say the indirect influence, what I've noticed, it stems from two places. Firstly, money. And people usually are forced to live a fake life, especially in uni, bro. Especially in uni. Like, this person does not have a stable source of income. Neither do they come from like a financially stable background. But when they come in uni, then there's these fashion trends. There are Balenciagas, the Gucci's, they're like expensive perfumes. There's a caliber of life that people portray. I remember one time we agreed on an aphorism that university is made up of broke boys who are pretending to be rich to impress broke girls who are pretending to be rich. I'd agreed so much on that point, because most of the people that we see find them living fake lives. They'll jump from room to room, collect, like, lobbying for money just to go and impress a girl at the bar.
Even broke girls.
Exactly. Broke girls will jump from room to room, like
girls.
For that.
Yeah, I've been receiving messages as well on Facebook, like my post,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it's that part. There's that front, and there's also the relationship part. Like sometimes you're not ready for a relationship. Like you look at yourself in the mirror and you're not ready to be with someone. You don't think you can love a person the way they should be loved. You cannot take care of another human being the way you deserve to be taken care of. But since that guy is going out with that fine girl, oh my goodness, I also want that. Like, they didn't tell you to do it. They didn't say, oh no, you suck for not having a boo. No, you're right. In fact, to some extent, you are way much better. Why? Because you got to sleep without having the problems of saying, oh wait, did I disappoint another human being? But no, just because 90% of your circle are in relationships, now you find yourself, feeling the need to be in one.
Is that
And
is that automatic for a human being, or what happens? Like the question is, if it so happens that your circle, 80% of them are in a relationship, or they own iPhone 12s, or they own cars, or whatever that is, does that happen automatic that you sort of like begin to feel uncomfortable, or what is it that makes you feel uncomfortable in the first place?
Personally, to answer your question, in my own personal perspective, to quote the good old book, bad company corrupts good morals. Right? In other words, another old aphorism, fowls of similar plumage congregate, birds of the same feathers fly together. In other words, when you are in the presence of people who are behaving in certain ways, you automatically, because as humans, we always move in packs. Everyone has a pack, like we always move in. So you always try to fit in. By default, you just try to fit in, and it takes an extreme, a rare, I would even say damn near impossible attitude to be a lone soldier, where like unattached to your village. Like everyone has got a village. If you're, for example, in university, if you say no, I am not, I don't care what other people do, then you still have people, you still have a village somewhere, maybe not where you are right now, but within the campus, or you have a community, you're attached to one or two people who agree with you. You understand? And that's the honest truth. I believe so. In my own perspective, it's just in our human nature to fit in. We have to fit in our own families. You understand? Like we were mavericks in our own families, but we had to fit in. We don't like sleeping at 20 or at 22, but we were forced to sleep as growing up. You have to fit in how we operate in this home. And the same thing happens even in uni. By default, we just say, okay, we need to fit in some capacity. That's my own take anyway.
Amazing. And I think we've sort of like surpassed our time. I don't know if everybody is comfortable to cut it here, or if there's anything else to add to it, but I think we've gotten amazing views on this. Like we've gone beyond what I expected, and it's amazing. So unless there's someone to add anything else to it, we could sort of like say our thanks. Anyone to add anything to it?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, amazing. So I think we could sort of like come to the end now. Thank you so much for your time. And Yotam.
Yes.
In just 2 minutes. To those that feel pressured by what others have in university, what's your word?
My words to those people who are pressured by other, people in university is you are better than that. You're born alone. You've got your own timeline. You've got your own opportunities that are coming your way. And if it's not happening right now, for you, it might happen in 5 years. For you, it might happen in 10. You understand? And just enjoy the process, enjoy the process. I would say so, because living a life where you are not satisfied with, let me not use the word satisfied because it goes against ambition. I would say where you feel the need, where you feel the need to be validated with a particular status quo is just, it's beneath you. I encourage you to just enjoy the process. Sooner or later, the thing you wanted that would have made you fit into that village or that particular group, you'll soon have it. And most of these things are just superficial anyway, so we can have them.
I agree with that, because some time back I was joking with my friend saying, imagine some time back when we used to like look at the iPhone 6 to be a very expensive phone, right? Now, imagine how you'd afford it now. You get like that really goes side by side with what you just said. Like soon enough, things that seemed so burdening would just like, by the way, it's not like the problems become lighter, but the way we live our lives sort of like trains us into becoming more capable of dealing with the issues at the end of the day. Is it?
Preach, brother, preach.
Yes. So most people will sort of like look at the problem and think, you know, I don't know what to do now, but the whole truth to it is just keep living. One day it will just turn out light. You get, right? So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much to all the speakers, most of all to the listeners as well, and more to the listeners who are going to watch the video, because this is, I wish this be extended too much to many people. So thank you so much for taking part, for your contributions, for your views, for sharing your stories and everything. Thank you so much. Yotam, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Much, and shout out to everyone, my fellow speakers, Mr. Yami and Rameez, and the listeners, Gigawatt in the comments, and everyone. We really appreciate your time, and we don't take it lightly.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna end the video now. Thank you.